Richard Cohen, columnist from the Washington Post. Syria, you wrote 2 articles about Syria and asking for the government to step in.
Well, I want the American government to do something, and at minimum, to lead a coalition effort to stop the war. I mean, it is essentially a civil war. There are 2 sides, and one side is vastly outgunned by the other side. One side is being run by a despotic dictatorship, and there's something like 10,000 people have been killed and several 100,000 refugees in the area. And we ought to be able to do something. I mean, there's
but now there's a plan, the Kofi Annan plan, and
well, it's not a Kofi Annan plan; it's a Kofi Annan wish. You know, I mean, it would be nice if the Syrian government would agree to a ceasefire and to an accommodation with, for want of a better word, the rebels. But that's not the way it's going to work, because they won't do it. If they do that, they'll lose power. If they lose power, they'll lose their lives. So they're essentially fighting for their lives, and we've got to push them. And there are ways of doing it.
Bypassing the international community? Are you talking about that exactly?
Well, we worked around it in Kosovo and Bosnia through NATO.
Through NATO.
We don't have to play games with the Russians. The Russians have totally isolated themselves on this issue. They look silly. I mean, why in the world do we allow them to tell us what to do? I mean, there are people being killed.
But Richard, are you really sure that the Obama administration, 7 months before the election, they would go into war, spend millions of dollars?
I'm not talking about troops. I'm not talking about putting boots on the ground, as they say.
So you're talking about an air...
I'm talking about using air power to set up a no-fly zone, make sure that the Assad regime can't use helicopters to reinforce their troops, to move munitions.
This is what America did with a coalition in Libya.
Right.
It cost America anyway $1 billion. I mean, it has a political cost and an economic cost. Not that I'm against it, but...
No, I don't necessarily think there'll be a cost. I think leadership can bring the American people along and say, look, we've got an obligation to do something here. Not alone. We can get the Europeans and the regional people in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and others, to do something in this thing, and not to set up a safe zone, which I think is just a trap. I mean, this is what was done in Bosnia. You've got almost 10,000 people who are already dead. You've got hundreds of thousands of refugees. I mean, the scale of this thing has gotten big, and it's going to get bigger.
But really think that the Obama administration is thinking that way? And do you think that Republicans, you know, you have the Republicans controlling the Congress, will accept an eventual proposal and solution like this?
Well, you know, you have some Republicans who support what I'm saying. John McCain is one, and he's not unimportant. He was the presidential candidate, and he's got vast experience in military matters. And there'll be others, but that's what leadership is about. You know, leadership is, I'm making the case, make the case, bring people along. Obama could do it. He could do it, but he's got to learn, you know, as in Libya, he waited and waited and waited, and the British went first, and the French went, you know, ahead of him.
Well, he waited until the Arab League came, and the United Nations resolution, and
right. In the
Gaddafi
meantime, people died. If we're going to
So you are pro-humanitarian intervention?
Yes, absolutely.
This conflict, how do you think it will end?
Well, I do think in the end that there'll be some sort of intervention. I think the Europeans plus some powers in the Middle East will get together and push Assad. I don't think well, we know he's not popular in his own country, and we have good reason to suspect that doesn't have the support of the army in general. He has support of elite units, which he keeps moving around. If you could stop him from moving those units around, which you can from the air, you can impede him with it, maybe the army will go, you know, will defect. You know, if you hit government buildings from the air, if you hit the security apparatus from the air, maybe that'll make a difference. But it's difficult to stand by when you can do this thing. This thing is doable, you know.
So it's a leadership issue, and you want someone like President Obama to step in and take responsibility.
Leadership. And he's not responsible for it. I just want him to lead, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Richard Cohen.
Thank you.